Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Black Heart signing Black in again. In my last video, I was talking about the octanes, doing an addendum to C Boogie's analysis of BGS's octanes. And I did a little more. And in that video, I touched on the fact that actually non-select or semi-select, meaning guys that are select in different contexts, are actually not upset by, they're not upset by women's preferences by themselves. They may or may not be, that will vary from individual to individual, but that collectively, non-select and semi-select men are upset by one thing mostly, and that is women lying. And E-Man67 just did a video. I believe it was today that he did this video. Now, in that video, he touched on the same thing. The video is MGTOW. It's the anticipation of sex that controls men. That's the title of his video. I want to point something out to you about that video. He starts off by saying men have been lied to. I have said to some of these select brothers that take on this Darwinist approach that you know, black female fuckery is just Darwinism and natural selection or sexual selection. And I've told them, no, actually, the issue is the damn lying. More than anything else, it's the lying that gets us. We're sick and tired of women lying to us about what they want. They want certain things. They tell us they want the opposite, and then they come to the guys that they've said that they wanted after they've let the guys they said they didn't want run through them. Pursued these men, gave everything up cheaply, run through them, stretch out the punani with some babies they may not even know they have now. And see, look, this is, I'm gonna tell you how you know that this is a real black community problem, and it is a Western black woman problem. This is how you know it's like this. As a Muslim, people have told me about the changes that some of their family members go through when their family members have become Muslim. Usually, they tell me about the changes that their sons go through when they became Muslim. But there are more women of any race becoming Muslim in the United States than there are men. So people will tell me my son became Muslim in prison, he came out a different person. They'll tell me my brother became Muslim and he turned his life around. They'll tell me things like this. My cousin became Muslim and now he feeds the homeless and he's busy with that. And they will say things to me like this, and usually they're telling me about their male relatives, even though statistically speaking, they're bound to have more female relatives that are Muslim. I don't even detest women, and that's not why I'm saying this. But what I'm gonna tell you though is that what's going on is somewhere down the line. Actually, we know what it is. What's going on is that there's this negative peer pressure that black women are under to not do right, especially if a man tells you to do it. To not walk the right path, especially if a man is telling you here's the right path and walk it. And they're certainly under negative peer pressure to not walk it if they pretend to listen to it. So when the pastor says, here's the right path, now walk it, they're under negative peer pressure to say, yes, pastor, amen, start shaking with the Holy Ghost, but then turn around and not walk that path. They're told not to do it, and this is bothersome, and everybody has a right to be upset by that because it's some major nigger shit. Well, my man's, who goes by his initials are MP. My man's MP been Muslim for a while. I don't know how long. I'm not sure how long he's been Muslim. But when he was not Muslim, apparently he did some things to a girlfriend that bothered her, and they were 14 at the time. Later on, as an adult, he became Muslim. She was Muslim as well. They got in touch. they agreed to get married. And so he now, as an adolescent teenager, a young teenager at that, 14, and as a non-Muslim, whatever it was, he said it was disrespectful when they were together. He came back as an adult. Both of them were Muslim, which means they should be on a clean slate. They agreed to marry, and she decided to get even with him for what he did as a young teenager. I said in the video that black folks do not have a teenage phase. Nobody really does, biologically speaking, but that we don't even have the luxury of it, and we need to get rid of these ideas. I said this. However, I said it. You see, this is not something black folks are going around and saying. So since, matter of fact, black folks use the teenage phase and use the teenage years of a teenager as an excuse to excuse a lot of dumb stuff that they don't have to do. Now, since this is known for black Americans, my question would be, if she is an adult, then why is she tripping off of what he did as a non-Muslim teenager when he has come back to her as a Muslim adult later and married her? What I'm doing is I'm simply judging her by judging her by her own position. So that's his wife, rather his ex-wife. They had a daughter, they split, and the reason they split was that he said, look, don't contact any ex-boyfriends, and I'm not contacting any ex-girlfriends. We're not doing that. And she went ahead and contacted an ex-boyfriend through Facebook and then left her screen open, logged into Facebook on the messenger so that he could see that she had violated his rules. And he said right off the bat, you and I are done, we're divorcing. Because I didn't do this, but you did. And you left it open for me to see just so that I would know that you're not going to obey me. That's how it's going to be. I got to do the work. I got to be the man. I got to be responsible so that you can disobey me. We're done. So they split. And he has since then had to deal with the more of the same thing. Black, female fuckery. Specific to the United States. I hate cursing. But in this case, I don't know what else to do to explain it. So then this other lady comes along, and I'm going to call her FPW. She's a Muslima, wears hijab, but she's going to nightclubs and promoting nightclubs and promoting shows and stuff like that with a hijab on her head, promoting nightclubs. Yeah, nigga shit. But they wound up somehow meeting, and he was nice to her as a friend, but he wasn't trying to get with her. His wife, she's a Muslim, not Nation of Islam, not 5%er, none of that. She is a Muslim. She fornicated when she was a teenager 3 times at least with the same 5%er, got his name tattooed on her back, and had 3 of his kids with no marriage. This nigga's a 5%er and a drug dealer. Now what this means is he's not compatible with a Muslim woman, because they are 2 different religions. So religiously, they're incompatible. And he's a drug dealer. She's supposed to be Muslim, and she bending over and taking backshot cream pies all up in the cervix at least 3 times we know of, having 3 babies for this dude, never marrying him. Then years later, she decides she wants to get with my man's MP. And he's like, look, I'm not doing that. So while he's being nice as a friend, she's trying to get with him. And he would say, no, I'm not doing that. You know, you tear down my self-esteem when you talk like that. Now, hold up. Let's look at this double standard right here. He tears down her self-esteem, and that's supposed to be a big deal to him. That's how she's talking. But let a man tell a woman that she's tearing down his self-esteem, and that automatically disqualifies him from any woman. This is a double standard that we have. Brothers, you need to start holding these women to the same standards to which you know you're being held. If you can't have a self-esteem problem, fine, that's okay. Okay, they can have the standard. You have to have the same standard. They come to you talking about their self-esteem is torn down. You tell them, well, that's why they call it self-esteem. I'm not trying to tear it down, but if your self-esteem is that damn weak, I want you to stop and think about what you would do to me if mine was that weak, because that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to treat you the same way. You better have a healthy self-esteem, and don't let it be so damn fragile. But I'm a woman. I know, exactly. Woman. That means an adult, not a child. I'm a man. I got to be a man. You got to be an adult woman. And I'm getting somewhere with this. So she wants to bring her used up badge, tattooed back, and 3 kids by a dead drug dealing 5% daddy. Because he got murdered at dealing drugs. And she wants to bring these kids to him for him to step in and play stepdad because he's Muslim. Like, that's just what he's supposed to do. He'll take these other man's kids and take responsibility for it. And in exchange, I'm going to give you a used up genital. Now, and you may not be stretched out. You know, genitals, women's genitals naturally do snap back after birth. But nonetheless, the point I'm making is that she's bringing this. What she's pretty much saying is, I'm going to give my best to a 5% drug dealer, someone with whom I'm completely incompatible and shouldn't be messing with under the conditions in which I shouldn't be messing with him. No marriage, no contract, just he, without the commitment, gets to tear the pussy up and skeet in it raw. Go home and sleep off a good one. But you need to take care of his kids. I told my man's MP, say, bruh, MP, you know what you need to do, man? You need to go to her and you need to tell her that you got 3 kids by a stripper you never married. If she can accept that, then at the very least, she's willing to somewhat be fair. But that's what you need to tell her. You need to tell her that you had 3 kids by a stripper you never married. And you're going to marry a second wife. But, you know, he's pretty much said, I'm not even doing that. I'm not going to marry her, and that's the end of it. And that's right. That's good. Because my question is always going to be, would she come after you like this if she didn't have these kids by this man? She's a good person, great. She probably is generally a good Muslim, fine, great. But would she come after you the way she's coming after you if she didn't have these 3 kids and another man's name tattooed on her back? And 3 kids from fornication, nonetheless, not from marriage. If she hadn't done this, would she be coming after you like this? The answer we know is no. How do we know? Because you got a lot of good women out there, actually. They do exist, but they don't pursue men. And it's okay in our religion for a woman to pursue a man for marriage. It's fine. She can send her dad, brother, somebody over to a man to discuss the terms of it. That's okay. Khadija bin Khuwaylid did this with Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's fine. However, at the end of all of this, the fact remains that they simply will not do it. If a woman is decent and she knows she's decent, she usually will refuse to pursue a man, even though she has that right. And even though most men, Muslim or not, know that women have that right. Adult men understand they've got the right. At least adult men of my age and younger, but they just won't do it. Because they perceive the value, and they always overestimate the value while still somehow managing to be insecure. Imagine that. So I look at my friend's situation and other brothers' situation, and I think, you know what? It's always the low value ones that will come after you. And that's how women feel about men, even though a man ain't got to really be low value. This being said, that's exactly what E-Man67 is talking about in his video. They're going to offer the best value to the guys that don't deserve it. And why are they lying? They're lying about what they want in the first goddamn place so that they can get what they want, actually so they can pursue what they want, and then turn around and come to you and offer you less than what any dude wants, giving their best to someone else that doesn't earn it, and then coming to you to pay the price for it later. That's why. And if they lie to you, then it makes it easier for them to practice the twin mating strategy or the dual mating strategy. And that's not acceptable. I'm going to point something else out, though. I'm going to propose something to the audience, to the men in the audience. Every man, if you are select, if you are non-select, if you are semi-select, meaning conditionally select, if you don't know which one you are, if you are 14 years old if you were 114 years old, if you were anywhere in between, if you can understand English and you can hear this video right now, you can hear the sound of my voice and what I'm recording in this content, this is what I recommend that all of you do. Unless you're a white man. It doesn't matter. This is what I recommend you do. You cut ties with any woman in your life that you catch lying to you about what women want or about what she wants. Period. And I'm talking about in men. If they lie to you about any woman's desire in men, and you catch them lying, cut them loose. Now, if they didn't lie, if they were silent, I'm not telling you to cut them loose. That's up to you. If they told you the truth, or if they made an honest mistake about what an individual woman wants, I'm not telling you to cut them loose. But if they lie and you catch them lying about what women want or what an individual wants or what she wants in men, cut her loose. And I'm not just talking about the women with whom you're romantically or maritally involved either. I'm talking about your friends and your relatives. Because right now, what we've got is grandmothers lying to grandsons, sisters lying to their brothers, aunts lying to their nephews, and mothers lying to their sons, let alone lady friends lying to their male friends, and women on TV lying to the males in their audiences, and teachers lying to their students. Let alone that, and co-eds lying to their classmates. I'm saying that when it is a relative, a wife, a girlfriend, a classmate, or a friend, you cut them loose. You're done. You cut conversation and relationships with them because they lied to you about what women want or about what a woman wants. And you caught them. When women understand that they can lose their boyfriends, husbands, brothers, cousins, nephews, uncles, grandsons, sons, you hear me, when they realize they can lose these men for doing that, for telling a lie, you tell me what you think will happen, but my suspicion is they're going to, first, not really believe it. Continue doing it, finding out for themselves. They will spread the stories and compare notes on social media. They will come to a realization that it's better for them to not lie to these men, and they will fuck the shuck up about what women want. Some of them will tell the truth about what women want, and some of them will just not say anything at all about what women want or about what they want. But I think that when they realize that it is true that men are cutting them off, even relatives, they'll stop doing it. Now, Muslims are going to say to me, look, Blackheart, you can't sit here and tell men to cut ties with their family, cut the blood ties because women lied to them. Actually, I probably can't. You may be right. But I can't not do it either. You see, it's like I don't really have a choice, and here's why. Family and blood ties are so important. They are so important that it's actually the woman that is cutting them if they lie to the men in their lives, especially their blood relatives or their husbands or boyfriends. But let's just say husbands, especially their husbands or their blood relatives, about what they want in a man or about what women in general want in men. If they lie, they are actually disrupting the continuation of family. Okay, so she got her husband. So she gonna lie to her son about what women want or about what she wants and give her son the wrong impression about how to go about this thing? When she does that, she's hurting his chances of finding anybody or of not being divorce raped if he does find someone. So she's going to hurt those chances and ruin those probabilities and lower them. He might as well cut ties with her. Hey, Dad, what's happening? How you doing? I'm fine, son. You want to talk to your mom? No, thank you, but no. Why? Well, you know what, Dad? Listening to her, found out she lied and I can't get married. Or I got married, no thanks to her. I got married in spite of her, not because of her. Well, son, women you can't really expect them to just come out and give up the secrets. Why they got secrets, Dad? That's the thing about it. Why do they have secrets? It's not okay. If she lied to you, you could cut her loose and not understand, because there's no reason for them to have these secrets. If there's some great big secret that the entire gender is willing to keep from men, even their own relatives, then that means there's something bad about it. And we're not required to be patient so that they can be evil. And I don't believe that women are born evil. I don't believe that they're just naturally evil. That's the other thing about it. If they were naturally evil, then they wouldn't go to hell. Because God would say, well, I made them this way. I didn't make them with a choice. I just made them evil, period. So there's no reason to punish them. No, men and women are going to get punished in the afterlife and even in this life for the choices they make, because they're born with both natures, good and bad. Mostly good, just lazy and selfish. Those are the bad ones. That's it. And if they can control the laziness and the selfishness, not by going against them all the time and driving themselves crazy, but simply by controlling them so that they don't trample the rights of others, people can go through their lives without the punishment and go into the next life without the punishment. But they won't. Many times. And what we're seeing is that women, when it comes to men, are going to insist on both the laziness and the selfishness, the greed. I'm not going to work. Fine. I'm also not going to tolerate limiting myself to what a man can provide me, what he can afford, honestly. Nope, not going to do that. So I'm going to lie to him about what women want in the first doggone place. And then the guys who know that somehow that I'm lying and figure that out, I'm going to go ahead and screw them right now, because it must be some kind of magic that they can figure it out that I'm lying anyway. I'm going to just bend over for them and squeeze every drop out of their nuts. And when I turn up pregnant, I probably can't get the resources from these guys. If they were responsible enough anyway, I wouldn't want them. I'm going to take the baby to another man that's more responsible, or the disease, or both, or just a used up vagina, or just my inability to pair bond and my psychological trauma and my emptiness, whatever the case is. And I'm going to go to these nice guys that I lied to and believed me about what women want, and get them to pay the pussy price, because I gave these other dudes the pussy for free. That's what's going to happen. It's that goddamn lying that's the main problem. Being silent about it is bad enough, actually. But that lying is just, oh man, that's unforgivable. And so when these women lie, especially to their own male relatives, they're ruining family, actually. That's where the ruination of family comes in. When a woman lies to her boyfriend, and I'm not sanctioning boyfriend and girlfriend matches, but when a woman lies even to her husband, she ruins his ability to give her what she's looking for. When a woman lies to her son, she's ruining his ability. When a woman lies to her nephew, she's ruining his ability to do it. Because we men are not wired to read women's minds. We can't do it. You lie to us, we don't know anything differently until we find you or catch you in the lie. Until that point, all we know is what you told us. So if we go around trying to be that, and all it does is set us up to get used and abused, then what reason do we have to maintain the blood ties with you? Cut them. Because you're trying to stop us from having any more blood ties of our own with our own kids. And this, even if when your male relative doesn't want to have kids, but he wants to get married, you're ruining that for him. What you're pretty much saying is, if you want to be healthy and not increase your chances of prostate cancer, because that's what celibacy can do, then you're just going to have to go out and trick. Really? That's what you're going to do? And yeah, I'm making it about the sex. Because even though in our personal lives we have other things to worry about, it is something that is important, especially for you young folks out there. So just because I'm old and it's not important anymore doesn't mean that it's not important to you young folks, or even to older folks who are just in better shape than I am. So no, I'm not sanctioning this lying about what women want because he's only 8 years old. Or lying about it for whatever reason you're going to make up, because the real reason, the only really good reason to lie about it is there's something really bad that you want because you were socialized to want it, and you just don't want to see women out here having to suffer the consequences. So you're going to lie to your own relatives. That's all it is. And that's real. And you see, the thing was that in our faith as Muslims, the woman is the one that has a wali, a male representative that scans the man that's trying to marry her. Because men can read other men. We have now reached a point that these men are also going to need female representatives that can scan these women as well, because of the lies. Not just because of what women want, which could be good or bad. It depends on how they socialize and how they control themselves, but also because of the lies. You see, this goes deep. And I'm not really sure I can cover everything that needs to be said in one recording. So a lot of it you're simply going to have to think about and let marinate. But yeah, it's the lies. And it is so bad at this point that it is worth cutting off your relatives for. And some would say, well, how's this Muslim going to justify it? Well, it's like this. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to the Qurayshis, he said to the Meccans in general actually, but mostly to the Qurayshis, who were his own people, before he started fighting with them actually, when they were persecuting the Muslims in Mecca, but before even the Hijrah, let alone fighting back, he looked at his people and he said to them, I am he who smiles when he kills, and I came to conquer you and to push out your false gods, something to that nature. And one of the things I know he said is, I came to eat your harvest without tilling the soil. Now, that's one of the things he told them. He pretty much said, I came to eat your crops without farming them. And that means I came to conquer you and take it as war booty, spoils of war. He told him this before the Hijrah, meaning the flight to Abyssinia, let alone the one to Medina, let alone fighting back and conquering people. That's what he said to them. He pretty much said to them, I didn't come to turn the other cheek. And Jesus is quoted to have said in the New Testament, although he is oftentimes depicted as turning the other cheek and just tolerating everything, one of the things he is quoted to have said is, think not that I came to bring peace, but rather the sword. And I came to turn son against mother, son against father, and daughter against mother, and brother against brother. And I'm telling you now that if I have to do this, then yes, I'm going to turn son against mother, nephew against aunt, grandson against grandmother, brother against sister, boyfriend against girlfriend. Of course I'm going to do that, and even husband against wife. And why am I, Blackheart, willing to do this? Because if these women have lied to their male relatives or their husbands, then they were already against them. I'm just here to turn the men back against the women that were against them to begin with. That's all. I'm only here to make the oppressed aware of who the enemy is from up close and tell them you need to be against this oppressor, even if it's a relative, because they don't deserve to have to tolerate this stuff simply because of a blood relation. Yeah, I'm that nigga, and that's why they call me Blackheart. I hope that this has been a benefit. Assalamu alaikum. Blackheart signing, black out.